What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. It has been a while since I filmed. There's just been a ton going on the ranch and in the shop that has just been taking up a lot of time, so I haven't really had time to work on projects. Shop has been getting a lot of attention, like I said. For those of you who remember what the shop was before, so this used to be, obviously this wall used to not be here, and then I don't know if you guys really picked up on it, but this corner here used to be a big woodworking area, and my cousin, who is really good at woodwork, he decided that he wants to start doing it full time. And so we said, hey, instead of leaving the woodworking stuff here, why don't you just take this back section of the shop? All right, so here we see we have a lot of woodworking stuff. So my car actually used to sit back in this corner, for those of you who don't remember. So there we have the wall. But what was ended up happening was, since the woodworking shop was in this corner of the shop, over here where my car is now, the natural wind, especially if both doors were open, so in that corner and then this one, the natural wind would carry all the dust and sawdust over to here, and it would just land on my car and tools and everything. And it's not like I was blaming my cousin Matt for that happening. It was just the situation that, so it was just the situation that was happening. And like I said, I wasn't mad about it or anything, but once he came to us and said, hey, I want to start doing wood full time, we're like, okay, sweet. Let's move your stuff over to there, build a wall, so that keeps all the sawdust separate from the actual shop. And then I can actually have my own little corner back here. And then we're gonna be, this will all be like automotive. So as we can see, we have the C10, we have the fiber there, and my father-in-law has been slowly working on that. C10 frame, Lodestars up there. So this will all be kind of automotive / fabrication. And it just works out good for everyone. Keeps the woodworking and the metal automotive separate, which I think works out for both of us. But anyways, so I finally have time to work on this car. I'm actually really close to getting it to starting. I've just been swamped and have not had time for it. So as you can see, I painted the intake manifold, and then the intercooler piping here I went to get powder coated, so I can probably pick that up now. But mainly it's just running hoses like this. Hose goes there. Got my manifold, got my vacuum manifold all mounted, ready to go. So really I just need to finish up a few things underneath this intake manifold, and then I can bolt it down, and then need to do a new core support there for the radiator to mount the new fan that I got, hook up the coolant stuff, and we're pretty much ready to start. There might be a few wiring things I need to sort out, but other than that, I think we will be ready to start. So I'm just gonna go to town on this and see how close we can get her going. All right, the intake manifold is bolted on, not coming off again. And I gotta say that red really makes the engine bay pop. I like how it turned out. This is just a VHT wrinkle red paint, nothing too fancy. Thought about powder coating it, but I wasn't too sure how I felt about the color, so I figured I could do this, and this will come off a lot easier than powder coat. So if I do end up liking it, I can always powder coat it in the future, but for now I'm just going to stick with this and see how it turns out and see how long it lasts. So far I'm pretty happy with it. So really all we need to do to be able to start this thing is pretty much get the radiator back on, and obviously the throttle body, which still need to pick up the intercooler piping, but that shouldn't take too long to put on. And then for the most part, everything else is pretty much ready to just plug in and go. I still need to drain the fuel tank and then plug in the laptop and see where we are tune wise. I have not looked at the tune since I got it tuned, so, and then we have things to adjust. The one thing that we need to change on the tune is obviously we converted it to an LS throttle body, so that is a 4-wire stepper motor instead of, and then the Subaru was a 3-wire, so I need to change that in the tune, and then hopefully not change too much more. I can just start it up and make some adjustments there and see where it's at. I have no idea where it's going to be running fuel wise. Same injectors, but I'm sure the throttle body and bigger intercooler piping might throw things off a little bit, but we'll just have to wait and see when we actually start it. Well guys, it is a rainy night, as you might be able to hear with the rain on the roof. And I'm just out here tinkering away at the old Subaru. Currently in the process of rebuilding the radiator support down there. I'm running a new fan, so if you remember the old fan, it was kind of this big bulky thing. With my exhaust, I no longer have room for this bad boy, so gonna try out this fan, see how it does. As you can see down there, there's literally millimeters of clearance between the crank pulley and the fan. And then I'm using this board and screw to hold up the fan while I figure out a bottom mount, or figure out a mount to bolt the fan to the bracket down there. I'm going to be taking it off here to weld it on. I use this little welder here. This is just a flux welder to tack these little tacks right there, since currently in the shop I can't get a welder back here. It's all the way up there, and just don't have a big enough 240 outlet back here yet. As you can see, it is still a disaster. Getting a little better, but so yeah, I think I'm ready. Finally got the measurements enough to take everything back off, and we can weld it with the big welder, and then we can paint it and throw them back on. Then we can put the radiator on, add some coolant, add some oil, throttle body, a few other things, and should be able to start here pretty soon. Alright, so we got the lower bracket all welded up. Here is our little fan mount. It's gonna bolt in right there on the fan, and then I'll have some mounting points up top as well. So we just need to mount that down into there. It bolts between there. So this is the old mount that it is replacing. Not really proud of that work, so I'm happy to see it be going. So this one is a lot better looking, and it is stronger as well. So let's get that bolted on and we can put the radiator on. All right, radiator is in. It's mounted in there. clamped all in down there. I think the only thing I need to do is I need to block this port here that used to go to the throttle body. On the other side I welded it up, but I forgot about this one. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to block it or pinch it or something. And then once we finish that up, it's just a matter of draining the fuel, putting new fuel in it, hooking up the laptop, adjusting things for the tune, and I think we can go for first start and see if that goes smooth or not. I changed a ton of stuff on this car, and so it's kind of like starting fresh again. If I was just putting it back together the way it was, I'd have no worries about it starting. But seeing how we did the new trigger wheel and we redid the whole harness, there could be some things that I did wrong, and we won't know that until we try to start it. So cross my fingers that that's not the case and it'll just start right up, but you never know. So throttle body, wiring, fuel, tune, start. Well, here she is. I think that all I need are fluids at this point. Everything is plumbed up. Guess I need that vacuum line that connects to the fuel regulator, but other than that, still need to do the catch can, but I don't need that to start. So I think tomorrow I can pick up some oil, filter, put new fuel in it, coolant, check the tune, adjust it for the new throttle body, and we should be able to go for the first start, which I'm super excited and super nervous for. That one moment of turning the key will show if the last 2 years of work has been done properly, pretty much. I do a lot of research on everything that I do to help make sure that I do it correctly, but this is really the first car that I've ever fully built before, so we will see how it turns out. So I will be doing some shopping for some fluids and we can try and start this thing. Do you ever feel like the last little bit just takes so long compared to like the other 95%? There's just so many tedious things that I've been working on to get this thing ready to go. So right now, currently, obviously have a hose going to a bucket there, and that is because I'm going to be turning on the car for the first time in 2 years, and yeah, I actually have the battery on. I haven't seen a sign of life in this car in over 2 years. So like I said, the battery is in, and I'm just going to be turning the key on because I need to. So I'm just going to be turning the key on so I can hook my laptop to so I'm just going to be turning the key on so I can hook the laptop up to it, and I can pull the tune off of the ECU, because I haven't even looked at this tune since the car was pro-tuned, because it died pretty much right after. Not the tuner's fault, old engine's fault, so don't get anything crazy in your head. But the tune is still on there and it's not on my computer yet because I haven't even looked at it before. I need to turn it on so I can hook my laptop up to it, and if everything is going correctly, should prime the fuel pump, and that's why I have that going to there, because the gas that's in there I'm going to be draining anyways, and so I don't want it to be getting into the lines regardless. But so that way when I do turn it on, it'll drain into the bucket and not into my fuel lines. So I guess the key, which has been here forever, and I'm really just curious to see what it's gonna do. Oh gosh, this car's so dirty. Oh, we got a dinger. We have life. There's my tack converter. Yeah, we have power. The pump didn't prime, which I don't know. Wait, maybe it did. Maybe there's some fuel in there. I don't know. So, I guess that's really all I needed. Maybe the battery doesn't have enough. Either the battery doesn't have enough to prime, or I wired things wrong. No, definitely primed. So that's a good sign. Anyways, before I get super anxious and actually turn this thing over, I guess let's hook the laptop up to it. And even then I can manually drain the tank since it's already hooked up, so might as well do that. So yeah, let's get the laptop up and going and see what we can pull up. Well guys, we have some good news. We're connected to the car and we are currently have live data from the car, so that means that as of now, and even the coolant temp sensor is reading, battery voltage is reading. Wow, throttle position even works. Okay, all right, I found it. So, go up to CAN bus test modes, go into output test mode, enable test mode, and then here we can go fuel pump on. So, fuel pump is on. So this is just draining the tank for me, since I don't want to do it. I don't think we have any leaks. Yeah, this has been in here for 2 years, so would not recommend starting your car with that old fuel. So we will go until it stops and then we can shut it off. Okay guys, a little update of where we're at. It's the next day. I've been slowly working away at this thing. So I did get the fuel hooked up, so it is going to the fuel rails now, and turned it on, and I already found a leak, actually 2 leaks that I'm gonna have to figure out. This one is a little bit more of a pain. This is where I welded on these fittings onto the stock fuel rails, and this one is leaking, which I'm surprised that that's the only one. The other 3 seem to be doing just fine. All the fittings are doing fine as well, except for this bottom one here underneath, which is the return to the regulator. As you can see, it is holding pressure, but yeah, that bottom fitting is leaking. All the other ones seem to be just fine, so I'd say that's pretty good. It sucks that I'm gonna have to take this one off to weld, but that's okay. And then I guess next what I want to do is I want to maybe try and prime the motor. So I think what I'm just going to do is, because I want to see if my trigger wheel is going to work, so I don't want to just unplug my crank sensor. All of my injectors and coils are really accessible, so I think I'm just going to unplug them all so they can't fire, and then crank it and try and prime it. I will get, here's my turbo feed line, so I will get a bucket or a bag to put that in, and I will, I guess, turn it over until I see oil coming out of the feed line, because once that's getting pressure, then it should be pressurizing. And then at the same time I will do a log, or be able to just look and see if my trigger wheels are firing. So I'm trying to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. All right, well, we have some oil coming out of the turbo feed line. So now we can connect it back onto the turbo, hook everything up, and as long as the triggers are working, which I am getting trigger signal on the computer, so as long as it is picking up the triggers, it should fire. Well, it's been 2 years since she ran. We'll see if she'll run now. Nothing yet. She gonna fire. Well, guess that's a defeat. Really hoping to listen to her purr tonight, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Looking at things, there you can see that the timing mark on the pulley is at 0, so that means that the crank should be at top dead center. But if you look over here at, it's hard to see, there it is. See those timing marks? Do those look lined up? Nope. That is a tooth off, I believe. And it is actually pretty close to the same on this side as well. So I don't know if our crank jumped. The cams are kind of at the same spot, so I either did the crank wrong or it jumped. I know it backfired once or twice, and so but at the same time it never even tried to run. It fired, but it's not running, and so that's what led me to believe with timing. So it's either that, which I'm pretty sure those are off, and then I did modify that crank trigger wheel, and if they're not all perfectly spaced where they need to be, it's not going to pick up a clear signal. And so I'm not saying that is it, but it is definitely a possibility. I've worried about that from the get-go, but yeah, a little bit of a defeat here, but she did fire. She's firing, so you know that some things are done right. It's getting fuel and spark, just not where it's supposed to. So after it started backfiring, I figured it was possibly a timing belt issue. So I think I'm gonna have to pull the radiator out and check all the timing. Make sure it's line it back up if I need to or whatever. Then I can even, obviously I have a trigger issue, and so I guess we're gonna have to figure it out. I was really hoping to get the car running for you guys in this video, but I think I'm gonna end it here because the video is getting pretty long and we're gonna be diving into whatever's the problem now. So in the next video, it'll definitely start and it should probably drive. So hate to do this to you guys, but I guess I'll end this one out here. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. Sorry I couldn't get this running for you. It kills me inside, but we will figure it out. So look out for the next one because this thing will get going. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.